they are taking the time to sort of talk to us about the politics that's going on in Uganda and Kenya with regards to queer liberation. I have some questions, and folks, if you have questions, um, I will make sure that they're addressed as well. But it just might not be immediate. You know what I mean? We gotta let the conversation flow and stuff as well. So right, okay, okay. I've started a call, so we'll see. Give me one sec, folks, to just set stuff up. Okay. See as well. Hey! Hey, dude.
Hey,
Hold on, sorry, that's just my laptop. I'm just putting you on the screen, so just give me one sec.
sawa.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, okay, okay. Hey, looking sharp.
Thank you. You look good.
Thanks, dude. It's pretty hot here at the moment, surprisingly. Um,
Here too. A
yeah?
bit.
Is
Yeah, it's a bit.
the rainy season's over or
Yeah, it's over. No more rain now, right now.
oh, thank God. Um okay, folks, this is Cappy, who comes from Uganda but is currently living in Kenya and is a friend of mine from Kenya, um, who works for the organization Leha, who are the org that we have been funding as well. We did the fundraiser for. So thank you so much for coming on today. Um, I got a couple of questions for you, and everyone's saying hello as well. Um, hi, 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 hi. Thank you so much for taking the time out as well to like chat to us today. Super appreciated. Um, One question, folks, is the music level okay? Can you still hear Cappy? Like, can you hear me? Just want to make sure we're not like drowning out. There's a little bit of just music in the background, basically. Um, People are saying hi. Welcome in. Lovely to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Sounds good to me. Fantastic. Okay. Um. So, thanks, dude, for taking the time to hang with us. It's also really good to see you, man. Like, I got some gossip to tell you actually that I from the last yeah, from the last couple of days in that we hung out in Thika and then I went off to Nairobi. Yeah, I got some gossip. But that's not for now. That's for a different time, you know? um so I hope you're well. I hope things are good. Can you please introduce yourself however you want and just tell us like a little bit about your background? If you want, you can tell us about Leha, but you don't have to, you know. So yeah.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to be here. I've heard about my friend's Twitch, so I'm glad to be on here. So, my name is Kapi. That's my preferred name. I was born and raised in Kampala, Uganda. And currently, I live in Nairobi. I live in Thika, Kiambu, Nairobi, Kenya. And I work for Leha and as a peer educator, but also I'm also part of their communications team. And that's how I met my friend here. So in Uganda, where I grew up, I was raised by a single mom. I'm the firstborn of my family and a girl child, so that comes with its own cultural responsibilities and stuff like that. So growing up there, Uganda is really culture the culture is very conservative, and the way we are raised, it's very community based. And when I realized, after you realize that you are what you are, I'm queer, it wasn't good for me, so I left and moved to Kenya. I've been living in Kenya since 2021, but I go back and forth between Uganda and Kampala. Yeah, but also on top of that, I am a graphics designer, and also an activist.
Hell yeah. And you have some of the Maltese, you read my mind. Cappy comes complete with some pretty fucking fire drip as well. Very much loved your style. Loved shopping together in Thika as well, trying to find some, thrifted gems. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Sort of
Thank you for the follows, guys, as well. And yeah, people are saying like, hi, hello, lovely to meet you, and so on and so forth. I think, thank you for the background. You said that Uganda, the culture is quite conservative and simultaneously quite community driven. What was it like growing up in that environment and then realizing that you were queer, but also that you are like Ugandan and a part of a community as well? Did it feel like a bit of a split between the way you felt about yourself, or what was the experience like?
So first of all, growing up in Uganda, like I said, I was raised by my single mom. She was really busy. So that meant she had to leave us to neighbors and family, like community to raise us, basically look out for us. You go to school, you come back, you go to the neighbors, you have lunch, something like that, until she gets home. Also, my mom really, she gave me the freedom. She never saw any difference. Like growing up, I think from when I was around 3, like I knew what I wanted. I knew how I wanted to dress. I would fight. So she would just let me, dress me like my brother, because we are close in age. We look alike. People used to think we are twins. But once she started handing us over to like other people to take care of us, they have their own opinions, They now change how you're dressing, like, so they are telling her not to dress you like that, things like that. Like it became a pull and push between my mom and my brother, because I remember growing up, girls play alone, boys play alone, there are girl games, there are boy games, things like that, but you know what you're interested in. I would want boys, play with the boys, but getting a table, a seat at that table would be really hard. So it would be my brother to fight for me, no, my sister has to say, things like that. So it was really hard, and community members would judge you for how you're playing, like, you're too rough, you shouldn't be rough, you're a girl, things like that. And so also, like, my mom used to get a lot of backlash because she would allow me, she would allow me because it made me happy, so she would get a lot of backlash from family, from her parents, from community, members, because of her allowing me to be like that. They would tell her, you're spoiling her, you're gonna let her turn into a lesbian, things like that. But back then, this I didn't know what that meant. Like, I didn't understand anything, because also, like, it's not like kids are protected from such things. You won't find those conversation on mainstream media, It's so, like, I don't remember even hearing about the LGBT community until I was in high school, and because I was, I wanted to find out what was going on with me, I started researching. That's how I found out. On radio, you never hear any positive, there was no positive role models, you only hear about it spoken about in really a religious way, that it's so bad, it's so evil, things like that. and they feel that the way they speak about it, that it is so stigmatized.
Mm-hmm.
It's fear, like you can't even say the words, like it's bad words,
Yeah,
So it was really, so realizing that what is bad in this community was really a fight, also like myself, fighting myself, because I was like, why am I like this, why shouldn't I be like that? You start fighting. I started like fighting my own self, it was really hard.
Mm. I mean, obviously we didn't get like so deep when we were hanging, but I feel like you, from my point of view, there is a lot of self-confidence you have in yourself, and I hope that this is a result of, you know what I mean, you hanging with Leha, you finding a queer space in the community that sort of allows you to be a part of Ugandan and Kenyan society and queer simultaneously, so that you're not isolated. And I'm sorry that you had those experiences, but also your mum. Like, shout out to your mum, I have a similar mum. Yeah, like seriously, shout out to fucking mums. There was it wasn't Leha, but the project of the Ugandan mothers who did when the basically, folks, we're going to speak about this, but I've got a few questions first. There's an anti-homosexuality act that was passed in Uganda, and a part of a vocal opposition was with a group of mothers in Uganda who were like, stop hurting my kids. My kids are queer and I love them, So like, fucking shout out to mums who are trying to defend the well-being of their children, And I have a similar mum who was very like, in a weird way, we both grew up in quite gendered environments, and I have some questions around that. Like you said, your community is like, but girls should be this. It was kind of the same for me, and my mum and dad were like, nah, this child can be whatever, whatever they want to be. I just love them, And it sounds like your mum was quite similar, so I'm glad you at least had that. That's a very special relationship, to have with your mother. On that note, oh gosh. There is, for folks who don't know, the history of Ugandan homophobia and the kind of prejudice that Kapi faces is not something that is like driven from just Ugandan culture, right? It comes from a colonial background, which is what complicates this, and makes it incredibly challenging, I think, for folks like yourself to navigate. And what I mean by that is Uganda itself had a border with Kenya, and there was something called the Ugandan Railroad, which was used to export slaves outside of the region into places all across the British Empire. And importantly, it meant that the state at the time was a British invention. And in that invention, they imported homophobic attitudes and laws. So prior to that, there was a different culture that had a different approach to sexualities. And in lots of places in the African continent, there was actually progressive attitudes and different attitudes towards sexualities and relationships. Like, Susan, do you know, like, Susan was telling me their grandmother was in like a relationship with a woman, like the marriage with a woman, right? We can't, as Westerners, folks, we can't 100% understand this, but it's like, basically, people had like, women would have marriages together in order to like raise kids and stuff. We don't know if it was always sexual and romantic, but it was like nothing like what a Western attitude and a Christian attitude to what raising your home is like, right? So
Yeah.
Exactly, colonization brought this in, and brought also religion. And the reason why I bring this up, folks, is because I'm going to ask a question to Cappy that I think is really important for folks to understand, and you need to understand that history beforehand. Is the import is prejudice, the import is homophobia, and the import is a Christian morality on gender. So the everything that you experienced comes from that history, right? But it's also a prison, and it's a lived thing for you. So my question to you is, even though Uganda, like, the experience or the history and the truth is that homophobia is colonial, a lot of people in the country see queerness as Western and external. And a lot of them find religion very, very important, mainly Christian religion. Why do you think this is? And what's your sort of experiences within that, which you've shared a bit with us, but I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, to start with, first of all, queerness is so fucking African. That's what I can say. It's so fucking African.
Fuck yes.
We have so many stories, like the story of Susan about grandparents having marriages with other women. You know, we've had these stories. They're trying to disappear, you know, they're trying to delete the history, but we know them because we hear about them, you know. But if you go to search about such stories online, it's hard to find them because they're trying to erase our history of queerness. They try to portray it as a Western culture, but what is Western is homophobia, like you said. Because, and I think the reason why they do that is just to try and distract the public from what is really happening in the country, politically and economically, you know, and so they're trying to drive it and narrate the story like we are the problem, you know. We are the criminals, you know. Like they try to avoid the fact that many people are jobless, and that's why they turn to safety and crime. And hiding that they criminalize us, you know. The only talk you hear about on media about LGBTQ is when it's negative. You can never hear positive things about it, you know. And growing up, like listening to I grew up religious, like, you know, like my mom's family of back side of the family is they are Catholics, you know.
Me too,
like
but my dad's side. Yeah,
like my dad's side on the other hand is not so religious.
okay.
But also like they're also but a bit like, you know, they believe in all those things wrong, like homosexuality is wrong, such things are wrong,
right.
So like you grew up like the thing that when my mom raised us, she gave me like this freedom to navigate, like to, I think, to explore. So like I had the freedom. I remember there was a time when I was practicing like Catholic religion, and when I found that I found so much negativity and so many rules. And then when I saw that these are the same rules they use in our culture, like they've turned the culture to seem more religious, like it looks like religion. When you look at the things they practice in like in the culture a long time ago, they have changed. Now they just practice the things in the church, in our culture. So like the cultures have also been westernized, you know, which is sorrow. So the things that we used to do are different. Now you find that the things that are teaching us in our cultures, they are the same things that you find in religion. So I found myself trying different religions, trying to see which one, where will I find the truth, and I never found it. Actually, I'm not religious anymore. I'm just spiritual, because I even tried Islam and all that, and you see they all have the same concept, you know. Grow up, they train us to be wives, to get married to a man, you know, to be a perfect wife. Every person will tell you, especially
it's very patriarchal, these mainstream religions. They'll
tell you that Ugandan women the best wives, because that's how the culture, they've turned it around. They make it seem like you have to be godly, you have to be all these things, And I
Subservient
really,
is what that means, right?
yeah. Like they're calling us, like, our identities, like West imports, but that's not true. They just want to stigmatize and justify their control, over us. But we are trying to fight back, Yeah, I guess it's really, really, really not cool, especially the church. The church, when you look at the church, recently there is this pastor that has been arrested, and actually this was my first example of homosexuality on media. He went viral. His name is Pastor Kayanja. He went viral because he was accused of raping young boys, raping like men in his church and stuff like that.
Oh fuck, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only things they would right now, if you're gay, the only thing they can see is crime,
Yeah. And the conversation
now,
is about young people instead of adults and
adults too. They are trying to hide the adults, the politicians that are also part of our community. They are trying to show that it's us. We've learned it because of the media, We've learned it. When you come out to someone, they ask you, is it because you've traveled outside the country? And you're like, what is that to do with anything, Is it you have white friends, Is it because this and that? Like, they try to, like, they try to forget that it's about, like, what I always ask people that ask me such question is like, would we have terms in our language that describe homosexuality? These words are words that have existed. Our grandparents know them. So, there are so many things right now that don't have local names because they're Western.
Yes.
But everything that has a local name, I believe, is African. I believe it's part of us. So that's what I always ask them. Someone approaches me and asks me stupid questions like that, I tell them, if it wasn't African, the name wouldn't exist. Just when they try to bully us and call us those terms, I just tell them that's just a name. Like, it's not an insult, it's just a name for the thing, So yeah.
I think, you came in strong. Like, queerness is African, and anything else is just like actually a colonial lie. Why is it you think, like, what you remember where I was staying in Thika? Just behind there was a church, and like that church was loud on a Sunday. That church was popping the fuck off as well. Like, it was really well attended, you know what I mean? And obviously I'm traveling all over Kenya. I haven't been to Uganda, but maybe it's the same or not. You can tell me. Like, the church is super visible and powerful, but like, the church is also a colonial import, but simultaneously Christian identity is very, very important for a significant amount of people in these places. Do you know why that is? Is it just because it's like, it's so like a part of community and stuff? Or do you think it's, like you said, like, people in power are like, you need this and it's to control women and control people? Or because it's very hard to challenge that inside, I could see that, like, it is a very deeply religious society in Kenya, all across the whole country.
So personally, I have my own, like, let me just put my own analogy up front. Like, I believe when you see, like, African history, Ugandan history, Kenyan history, so many women had power. We had power before colonial, before colonials coming. Like, we had a lot of power. Women had political positions. Women had leadership. Like, they were advisors.
They led the markets. They led the fucking people. Yes, exactly.
Everything, like, we led the trading, everything. We led a lot of things. Men were just completing tasks that we used to give them, So when the colonials, like, when they came here, they didn't like that. They didn't like the power women had and how the men obeyed the women, so they had to control women in a way, so they brought religion. And when you look at religion is all about women being submissive and women supporting men. A woman is the neck, the man is the head, so they brought that to us. And like what I said earlier, that the culture has also been westernized, you find that now when you compare 2 and 2, there's no difference anymore. There's no difference anymore. You find that the cultural practices we used to practice, they're no more. They are called satanic now. You're supposed to do it a different way now. You're not supposed to sacrifice anymore. You're just supposed to take your money to the church. That's the way you sacrifice. There's no more cutting animals and all that stuff. No. Just give the money to the church leader, to the father, whatever,
the pastor.
And and this is so wrong. When you look at the churches here, people are so poor and they're looking for money in church. But you go to church to look for God to give you money, but you're taking the small money you have and giving to the church. When the church, they have these fundraising projects that never end, and these projects are all to support the church leaders, their families, their
the
kids,
pastor
and these people are
their
poor,
nice house, and then meanwhile people are living in 100%,
poverty, like in extreme poverty. And now when actually you find the woke people that have understood that the church is not what we grew up being told. When you're a kid, your mom takes you to church, your uncle takes you, your grandmother takes you, you have no choice, you just go and you pray. They say you pray, you say give money, you give. When you grow up, you start comparing and you wake up, you're like, okay, I'm not religious anymore. Then when you're queer and you don't go to church, you're evil. Well, I wouldn't say that religion is all bad, because there are religious people that are really good. I have religious friends, family members that are religious.
The group in Nairobi, the queer Christians. What I forget who they're called.
I think it's CAA.
Yeah. I met some of them when we went to the queer event. In like the secret place in Nairobi. Yeah. They seem really nice. They seem cool.
Really nice. And they're also queer, but now they're not even allowed in such spaces. They have to create their own church to practice their own religion. Like there is no difference. Like I'm queer, I can be queer and religious. Just like you can be straight or whatever and unreligious, like or unreligious. Like I don't get it really, but it's really, really so bad. And me, I feel like it's just brainwashing, because when you find that all the people that go to church right now are the poorest of the poor people, the older people, you won't find the new generation now, the Gen Zs, they're trying to abandon the church, and those that are still in church, they are trying to challenge, they're trying to challenge the old church, but it's still really a long way to go. I don't know, but I feel like religion, if the only solution would just be taking religion completely out of Africa.
Gosh, it's so it's interesting you said the stuff about women, because actually in like I told you, my background is Irish, even though I grew up in the UK. There is a similarity where when the colonists came to Ireland, like we had warrior women. It wasn't like 100% equal. Women weren't telling everyone what to do, but we had like a really, really strong and proud Irish tradition of very formidable, like women warriors, women who owned property and land. And also women who like had different, like who would look very like kind of hot to be honest, right? And like the Brits are like, no, we have like cover up, have your hair in a particular way, like that's not okay. And like it was a part of them subjugating Ireland. And then when we liberated our people, and to this day, I mean, Daydream is kind of true though, like my ancient Celtic warrioress baddies in my head are hot as fuck, Yeah. And I feel like you get me, you know, when you're like thinking about these like women and queers historically, or
Yeah.
like, yes, you feel that energy, you know, and it's nice. But in Ireland to this day, it's like we are dealing with the impact that like Catholicism had on the country, and we are slowly moving to kind of get rid of religion, and which used to be like, it used to be such a key part of Irish identity. Like I was raised a Catholic like you because of it. I was adopted out of Ireland, and one of the key things was you need to be taught your Irish identity and you need to be raised a Catholic, because those were the same at that time. But now it's not as much. So I feel like maybe your struggles are similar as a queer contemporary, you know, East African that's trying to challenge these structures with the context of colonialism and what it takes from, you know, your community and your people. It's going to be a long journey, you know, to ridding some of the social and conservative attitudes that are colonial themselves as well. Thank you so much, Bellum21, for the follow as well. Okay, so as I said earlier, thank you as well. Like, these are really fucking great answers, and I think, I know you said it was like your theory, but I think that you're fucking right. I think that it's a genuine fact. So for those who don't know, in Uganda, in what was it, 2023, there was a passage of an act called the Anti-Homosexuality Act that basically targeted the queer community, or anyone perceived as the queer community, with punishable by it's 20 years in jail, and if it's aggravated homosexuality, whatever the fuck that means. All I know is I definitely do that, whatever aggravated gayness is. That's us, right? But then you can sometimes be sentenced to death, like life in jail. It's really, really bad. My question is, so I feel like we have a bit of an understanding of how that has come to be, because like you said, there's a lot of crony bullshit politicians who will use queerness to focus people's attentions instead of, why am I poor? Why do I have to struggle to get fucking bread every day? Oh, it's the gays, you know? And that's the kind of vibe in Uganda, right? But what did I can't remember, we did speak about this before. What did the passage of the act do for folks in Uganda? Because you were in Kenya by that time, right? I think you had already left. Are you aware of what impact it's had on people in Uganda? Because you still keep in contact with folks at home, right?
So the reason actually why I left Uganda was because it was unsafe, and I left back in 2021 because this is when the conversations were happening of the Homosexuality Act bill. And they were really filling the media with negativity and telling, like, they're trying to identify us, you know, give the public a picture of us so that they can spot us out and you know, discriminate against us and cause harm, you know, violence and stuff like that. Because I remember, like, it felt so unsafe, and it was even like during COVID. You know, during COVID, your lockdown, everything is down, so everyone in the community is home. You know, you're in the community, is not really inside your houses, because us, we are not really affected like that. Like we were not allowed to go. Public transport was down, but we could associate with people and we were okay. So like everyone is looking at you, how are you dressing, and we are listening to all these things going on media. So what they used is they used the media, because everyone was in the house, at home, on their phones, on the TV. They fueled stigma, a lot of negativity into the public, told them like how also it's not, because before it was that it's only men who do it. Men rape young boys, you know, it was mostly they are mostly like narrating the side of the men. They never really talked about the side of the women. So it was kind of safe, but not that it was not happening. It was happening because also like men like it. They don't really see woman to woman as bad as man to man.
Because
to
of
them. So,
sexist
but
attitudes, right? Like, yeah.
Yes. Exactly. So what the government did is they also now started showing them how bad it is from woman to date a woman. Now the eyes turned, the cameras and everything turned to us now. Now we are visible,
Yeah.
Noticing, okay, so you don't just dress like this because that's how you want. You dress like this because you're attracted to other women, because you want to be a man, They started things like that. If they see you're masculine presenting and you're maybe like with another feminine presenting person, it becomes an issue. Like men turned against the presenting women. But before it was okay because we have so many women in sports and they look masculine. We have so many women in security and like that. So before it was really ignored, but now when they told them we look like this because we are gay, now everything changed. Like it was not safe anymore just to another woman. It was not even safe to walk alone. Like I had to hide. I had to start try and play around with whatever I'm wearing, to have to balance comfort, being comfortable, being myself, and being safe.
Safe.
It felt
because suddenly it was like you're in the firing line. Like they're bringing butch women and masculine women or MBs into the narrative, and it's like fuck. Like yeah.
It was so bad because I remember there's this time I was just even walking like through the market. If you've been to Uganda, there's this famous market called Owino Market. Like it's the biggest one in Kampala. And I was just walking. I think I was walking with a friend of mine, and I started getting verbal insults like from someone is trying to tell you to buy. So when I said no, they started like outing me. Oh, you're saying no because you're gay. Oh, you're not saying no because you think you're a man. They just like sending words, really, really bad statements, like you don't get your period anymore, like really things trying to insult you.
That's so fucking rude. Like
I know, it's so fucking rude. And I had to walk through the whole market, and he's so loud, so everyone is trying to see who are they.
What's going on is commotion.
The commotion. I remember that day going home, shaking and looking over my head the whole time. I was really now that's when I started planning. I was like, I need to get the fuck out of Kampala. The bill is gonna pass anytime soon. And because like they gave them, before even it passed, it's like the media was giving the public permission, or like they go ahead to cause harm, to violate anything. They are telling them to like presenting women are like that because they've never tried men. They're telling men it's okay, show them how to teach them, like give them a test. The fact,
so they're literally, that means that the media and the mainstream narrative is encouraging the sexual violence against queer women, which is experienced a lot, right? And that's fucking appalling. I'm so sorry that you were subject to this, dude.
It was really crazy. They brought in pastors, to also like add to the fire and like intervene, like connect religion and all that with it. It was really so bad. That's when I made the decision to leave and come to Kenya. But even currently, I still go back to Uganda back and forth, like because me and my mom, we are close. I've not actually out to my mom. My mom just accepts me like how I look. They don't know that I date women, but she just okay with how I dress and how I present, but we've not had the conversation. I know she knows at the back of her mind, but we've not had the conversations. But I go back and try and to visit them. But even when I go back, even when I go back, it's really non-safe. You have to stay in the house, because also not like most of the family is religious. They're also not okay with it. You can't go and see them.
Your brother was quite cool. I seem to remember your brother has your back. So this is
My
one
brother,
shining beacon who's like,
yeah,
yeah,
actually is in my corner, and I'm out to my brother. He knows about everything about me, but he lives in Dubai. So, but when he comes to Uganda, I go and we go together to
you
see our
hang
mom.
out. Yeah, nice.
So,
Morning,
yeah,
Owen. Welcome in. Yeah, that's I'm
yeah.
glad that he's got your back, you know, at least. And maybe with mum, it's like what I learned with my grandparents is there's some conversations you can't have because they love you and they probably kind of know, but
Mm,
you can't pop the bubble. I mean, you know your dynamic more than me, you know, but it's like, yeah, with my grandparents, like they knew. You know what I mean? Like everyone
mm,
knew, but nobody said anything, and it's just how we cope in this life sometimes. Somebody has a question which is, does like old school media, so like television, newspapers have a lot of power in Uganda? From what I remember, wasn't it the Rolling Stone newspaper in Uganda that published all of the list of queer activists and supposed queer activists? So I think they have quite a lot of power there, don't they? Like people still pick up and read quite a lot of newspapers and stuff.
yeah, actually, they do have a lot of power because most of the media houses are owned by the government people, like
Ah,
ministers and politicians that are in the government, and of course they have to fuel it. Like it has a lot of power because also the government has tried so many times to limit the internet within the country, because there's a time when they put direct tax onto the internet, and you had to
right.
pay money and to buy the data, and also like pay like tax to use the data. If you
Mm,
buy without paying, you can't use your data. So like they've tried fighting the internet because they want the mainstream media to be on top. But like I told you,
mm,
so like the Gen Z are woke, they don't care.
mm,
We
mm,
prefer we prefer social media and stuff like that. But now the rest of the community, the older moms, the older uncles, now count the previous generation and back, they still
mm,
now depend on mainstream because they can't really buy data every day. It's expensive, and it's really not worth it. They can't
mm,
use it every day. So most of them, they don't really, so they depend on TV, radio and stuff like that to receive information. And like I
mm-hmm,
said,
mm-hmm.
the information on mainstream, so yeah.
Yeah. So that's why, like you said, all of the shit that went down and suddenly you're in a market and people are giving like fucking harassing you, which didn't happen before because queer femmes kind of existed under the radar a little bit. You know, the
Mm,
expectations and the harassment is different than masks, you know, MSMs and
yes.
stuff. But the reason why it's so effective, the harassment, is because of this media and how much control it has and stuff. And like you
Yeah.
said, yeah,
Yes.
there is hope for like young people to kind of start thinking outside the box there and start having conversations about like reclaiming more indigenous cultures and ideas about themselves, and then looking towards you know, a regional African future. But it's just going to take a long time and a lot of kind of work for folks to be able to do that. It's just speaking from the experience of seeing what happens inside Ireland, which is, I would say, we have a long time. We still have so far to go in terms of the liberation that we want for. I want for the people of Ireland as well. You know. Um, Fuck. Okay, so what was it like claiming? So that was the point where you were like, I need to get the fuck out. Like this is, you're unsafe. What was it like seeking asylum in Kenya? Because Kenya is still a place that has a lot of problems when it comes to like queer liberation, right? Like I know your movement is strong, your movement is fucking fierce, your movement is fun. I had a lot of fun with you folks there, but it's still a
Yeah.
challenge. It is a challenge. So, what was seeking asylum like on, you know, from going from Uganda, which obviously had reached a very dangerous point for you, to a slightly different experience in Kenya. Hey CJ, welcome in.
So, actually, when I came here, the first thing I thought is Kenya is safer. Like, because from what we would see on social media, we felt like queer Kenyans had a little bit of more freedom than us, you know. And so I felt like I would be safer in Kenya initially when I came here. And back into 2021 when I came, I went and applied for asylum and submitted, but the process is so long and complicated. I actually quit the process. I just quit it. In fact, it's corrupt. It's motherfucking bullshit.
It's
Like, it's just a
fucking.
waste of time.
It's Kenya, isn't it? So it's like.
No, like corruption everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
losing
yeah.
money. I thought. Anyway, so like it was really hard. And initially when I moved here, the good thing is I had someone with me. Like, I didn't move alone. I made the decision with my partner at the time to move to Kenya, and we moved. Fortunately, we moved to Thika, where Leha happens to be. And
Did you
when
know?
I
Did
was
you know Leha was there at the time, or was it just a coincidence?
It was a coincidence because also I didn't know about Leha actually. So here is the thing. Back in Uganda, I was queer, but I had zero to no queer friends. I didn't know queer people, like, apart from the social media. And the ones you chat with, their profiles are hidden because no one wants to expose themselves.
Yeah.
If you don't know, you just chat secret profiles, things like that. Like, you don't have friends, you don't have a community, you don't have role models, you don't have people to talk to about these things apart from online. And I had a friend in Kenya who I was in communication with, and they helped me make the move from Uganda to Kenya. And then I decided to stay here, but I had no plan, like no job, no what. I just moved with the little savings I had from my hustles. And then I started looking for community here. And that's when I found Leha online. I found them on Facebook, reached out to them, and then became part of their community, started like volunteering for them, and that's how I became part of Leha. And recently I started officially working with them, and I'm part of their team now. But the asylum process, that really didn't work out. And right now I'm actually what is it called, undocumented migrant in Kenya. But because I'm an East African citizen, it passes. Like, you just you stay. But of course, when I'm going back to the
you have the right with the passport, so you are documented, but it's like in a very different way. It's not like you have the right to settle in Kenya. It's you can use your passport to move around. Yeah, there is like a regional East African passport thing, guys, basically.
Yes. So that's the only thing actually that is helping me to stay here in Kenya. But also, like, Kenya, also, that you've been here, you see how we hide, and you see the fight. You've seen the fight close up in Kenya, and I'm glad to actually be part of it currently as it's going. But yeah, it's not really safe like initially it was when I first got here. So they really have the same problems now as the Ugandans do, because I see the Kenyan government is using the same strategy they used in Uganda, like the church. They're using the church. They're using these political. Actually, the president himself is the leader man. Is the lead. So it's really crazy. So it's worse. It's really worse, and I'm so scared for us, the ones here in Kenya, but also I'm so hopeful and strong, because I'm really strong and confident in our fight, but also scared because every day walking out there is a risk. Right now we have so many attacks and violence attacks towards the community in Nairobi city. So that part of the country now is off limits for most of us. We are trying to stay away just for our safety. So you
From
can
Nairobi.
Imagine. Yeah, Nairobi.
Fuck. Yeah. I mean, everything that we had to do when we were there was in private, right? With security. So fuck. I'm really sorry, dude. So I've spoken about like my experiences in Kenya a lot to folks here. And genuinely, I do believe that your movement can win. And I mean, the wider anti-government movement and the queer movement can collaborate. Like, I met, you know, Communist Party members who were queer, who were like really challenging the homophobia in their party, and their party is now like trying to become progressive, and this is the main opposition to the government. So you have like an alternative that I do believe can win. So I believe, like, at a personal level, I do believe you. I believe in you. I genuinely mean that. I do. We will continue to support, you know, support you as much as we can. But I recognize that the struggle is felt. You know, I was there when the some of the queer community, like Susan told me just before I left about some suicides in the community and stuff as well. Like, it's the pain is real. And I hear you, and solidarity for you. I do believe in your movement though, like genuinely. Like, I know it's under threat and it's under attack, but there is so much fucking power in Kenya, and I believe in you basically. But on that note, what is the best way for people from outside of the region? There are a lot of folks here who are either like progressive, left-wing, queer, all of those things, who have been very interested to hear from you. So thank you for taking the time. But people want to be able to support as well. For you folks, other than continuing the fundraisers that we will do periodically to try and get some cash to Leah, what's the best way that we can support you? What's the most meaningful way as people from outside of the region to be able to offer support for queer Kenyans and Ugandans?
Well, I feel like the best way right now to support queer Ugandans and Kenyans would be like helping centering the voices of queer people, you know, and also like fundraising for grassroots groups directly. That matters a lot. And also I feel like the pressure should be put on the government diplomatically, you know, that way it doesn't affect the locals, you know, as much, you know, because if that way it won't affect the locals directly, because if they're not, then they put the blame on us, you know.
Yeah,
like,
so
we are the problem.
A quick amount of context here for folks is that the World Bank fucked up, to put it like mildly, and said to support Ugandan queers, we're going to not give any aid or any development loads to Uganda. If they had listened to queers from the region, they'd be like, don't do this. This will be used to kill us. And immediately that's what happened. So Westerners, shut the fuck up and listen to queer people, right? So yeah, exactly. Like the West Bank, look, I can say this because I'm not at work, but there are a bunch of fucking white liberal cunts who are like, oh, this is how we fix the problem. No, like they did not listen to any queer person from Uganda in doing this. So what Cappy is saying here is you can have conversations with people, but behind the scenes. Because if you do something like that, immediately, it was exactly like Cappy says. Families were like, wait, what the fuck? I can't get aid. I can't get help. Now I hate queer people even more. And they've reversed that decision. But this is like an example of like the worst thing that you could do, right?
To help.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably made the situation so much worse for the queer community in Uganda, you know? So that was just the context behind what we are talking about here. Sorry. Thank you. Please continue. I just wanted to give people the context in case they didn't know.
Yeah. Like you said, like when the World Bank did that, I know that decision like meant to help. Like they really genuinely wanted to help. They thought this would pressure the government to be on, you know, to do whatever they wanted, but it didn't. The government is big ahead. So what they did is they turned the blame on us. So what they can do is really just help us lift our voices, pressure behind the doors, like you said, and I think that's the best way. Yeah, and also maybe try to support queer independent, like people that have like maybe queer businesses that are happening. We have so many upcoming queer businesses in Kenya of queer people that are trying to go to try to make something of ourselves, because even in the spaces like here it's really hard. You're either jobless or you're volunteering at an organization, or you're just depending on your parents. So depending, and others, as some of us, we are trying to start something for us. So the best way to support is just that, support queer Kenyan businesses, Ugandan businesses. Yeah, also.
Yeah, for folks, so that folks understand, the cuts to a lot of aid contracts have meant that people are finding other ways of sustaining themselves and the movement. And as people from outside, it is important for us to understand the dynamics that have led people to have to make those decisions. So supporting queer businesses is pretty important. I have there's some cloth and some I got my mum some earrings and stuff from queer businesses when I was inside Nairobi. Like supporting small businesses is an opportunity to support directly queer people without any kind of limits, on what they can say and what they can do, and is at least in the current economic context a little bit of like self-sustainability, even if it's not necessarily long term, something that could like completely transform society, because we should understand that's where people are at the moment. So I know some stuff says there's a question, is there nationalism in Kenya and Uganda that's not okay? If there is nationalism in Kenya and Uganda, is it linked with ethnic purity? Wait. Hold on. Anti-queerness, as they view queerness. Okay. I'm not 100% with you. I know some stuff. Sorry, I'm trying to understand. Has there been have there been any nationalistic tendencies in Uganda and Kenya that are linked to pre-colonial history? I think the answer to that is yes, but I don't know. It definitely is in Kenya, but I don't know about the politics of Uganda. I know that for a while there was like Idi Amin and stuff. It was a pretty awful ruler. But what's the current president like, or prime minister? Sorry, is it president or prime minister? The very old guy who's running for term again.
Museveni is actually the president. He's the president. He's very homophobic, but also like I wouldn't say he's very homophobic really, but I feel like he's pressured by the other politicians around him, the ones that are hard on Christians, like to push, because you see like there are things he has done to support the community previously, until I think he used that as a tactic to get back into power. That's when he wanted to get into power. So but before then it existed, but like I said, it was when it became to older men using young boys, but it was not really talked about that much. And I feel like he just used that to give the his ministers whatever they wanted, and parliament people whatever they wanted, to get back into power, and also some of the community, because the biggest percentage of Uganda's population is Christian. They are religious. Like I said, like the lifestyle has changed now. The culture is Western, and Western is religion. So they pressured, and he wanted to win again to get back into power. So he took the he just took it past the bill. But
I see. Does this guy have links with like big international businesses or anything, or is it a bit more complicated than that? Like, trying to understand him as, I guess, a leader. Like, is he very pro-American, but ironically will then blame everyone for like Western? Yeah.
So they do things behind the door. Of course, they have their agreements because they have to do things to win, but also they need the support from the West and other pro-homophobic, the Catholic. I'll say the Catholic, the church, because mostly they back. They also like fund the governments and stuff like that. The church is it has to fund the other churches, and it's really so big, especially in African countries. It's one of the biggest entities in Africa, in African, especially poor third world countries. So he has to bend over their law or whatever, over their word, but also he has to win. He has to win. So he has to play his cards well behind doors, and then in public play different cards. So he puts the blame on us, and then behind the doors he's like, it's really complicated, but yeah.
I think so. I know some stuff. The problem is that the anti-colonial nationalism in a lot of countries is co-opted by like Christian strongman politics that ignores the queer, like Robert Mugabe, like ignores the queer history of the region and uses it exactly like Happy's been saying in order to actually divide their own population against themselves and to find a scapegoat, which is we can blame queer people for the like economic problems of Uganda instead of the government, which is, and this is the very difficult situation that a lot of queer anti-colonial activists find themselves in, is like even talking about the truth, like Happy said, talking about the facts, which we've spoken about today, is often silenced and like not a part of the mainstream media or the mainstream narrative of what it is to be a Ugandan and a Kenyan. So that currently is a big part of the fight, is like taking back the actual queer Africanness of the region. Exactly. Fuck yeah. I don't want to take too much more of your time up. I know you got shit to do today. There's one last question I'd love for us to finish on though, which is, what do you do for fun? And are you going to do anything fun over the next couple of days? Is there any joy in your life that's coming up? That's not too much, you know? I know you. Joy. I fucking know you, Kathy. So sorry. I mean, no, pure, innocent.
Yeah. So what I like to do for fun, I love having conversations. You've been around me, I talk too much. Like I really have conversations. So when I meet people that also love having conversations, which most of my friends are.
Shoot, sorry, we have a raid, so you can't hear the noise, but there's noise happening. One second. Welcome in, raiders. Where is the raid? I can't see it. No worries. Thank you so much for the raid. Shouty to Paul Wall, who I believe is a leftist who does video gaming. What were you playing today? Welcome in, folks. I'm Lesbian Hot Sauce. We are just finishing a conversation with my friend Cappy here, who is a anti-colonial queer activist from Uganda, currently living in Kenya. And the question was, what are you doing for fun? And chatting people's ears off was one thing. So sorry. Welcome in, folks. Anyway, this is Kathy. Yeah. What's other than chatting? What's your go-to fun activities?
Going to gym. We've been to gym together. I enjoy that.
That was a great day. Yeah, going to the gym together was great.
It was. Also, I love music, playing the guitar, and so I have a few friends of mine that love music. So sometimes we do that. Yeah, and also like maybe going for walks. I love walks, especially in the morning, the sunset and the sunrise, and swimming. Yeah. That's it.
Swimming, lovely, awesome. Yeah, I mean, what I think is also maybe important for people to know, just as we finish the chat, is like Kenya. So obviously, you made it pretty clear that shit is bad at the moment, but there is like a huge, vibrant queer scene there as well. It's just underground, and the emphasis is on safety at the moment because of everything that's Kathy has told people about. But like, oh my god. And also, I mean, you're not Kenyan as well, but Kenyan women are forward. Kenyan women will tell you what they want, which as an outsider is quite a breath of fresh air. It's like, this person is being very clear with what they want here. Yeah. Which is a nice energy to be around. But like, yeah, I mean, sending lots of love to everyone at Liha as well. And thanks for spending the time with us today. I don't know if you have anything you want to like leave us with before you head off. But yeah, super appreciate you hanging out with us folks today as well.
Yeah, it was nice hanging out with you as well, and also seeing you again. I kind of missed you a bit.
I'll be back. I will be back. I am coming back. It's just a question of when.
Promise.
I've 100% promise. Like, I'm definitely coming back.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. I really had fun, and I hope you all know the situation. Get to know, keep following the situation that is happening back here, and if you can support in any way, that would be cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, Cappy, spelled like that. When we bounce off, I'm going to show people like Liha and your TikTok as well, so people can follow. And I don't know, is there any other social media that I can use? Like,
I have Instagram.
Okay.
As well.
Cool.
Yeah, I have Instagram and TikTok. Those are like my main.
TikTok are the main ones. Cool. Okay, I'll share people. If you send me, I don't have Instagram, but if you send it to me in the DM on Discord, I'll share that as well. Does Liha have a Instagram as well?
Yeah, we also have Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome.
And
could you share that as well, please?
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, everyone, send love and thanks to Kathy. I think people have really enjoyed getting to know stuff from you today and getting to know you as well. And I'll message you as well and we'll continue chatting, and I'll tell you the gossip as well that no one else is allowed to hear. Have a good day as well. Look after yourself, yeah?
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, okay. Bye. Right. Hey, how fucking cool is Cappy, guys? Genuinely I'm glad you folks got to meet and learn from Cappy. They are a very solid, sound human being.